I'm using something called U-channel, which is similar to a length of square hollow tubing with one side missing. It comes in various sizes, so you'll need to get the size that will slide onto the thickness of your shelf. For my shelves, I'm using 3/4 inch plywood, so the U-channel will be the matching size for that thickness. In this step, I'm going to cut the edging to the right size to fit around the plywood. Let's take a look at this using the 3 tools that I mentioned earlier. I've set up my miter box and clamped in the U-channel. I'm going to use the 45-degree slots to guide the saw and make my cut. It does take a bit of effort, but you will get through with a nice clean 45-degree cut. I've marked the U-channel with a 45-degree line, and I'm going to use an angle grinder to cut it. Clamp the U-channel so it won't move, and then hold the angle grinder firmly with both hands. Follow along the 45-degree line as closely as you can while making the cut. The cutoff saw has metal clamps to hold the material in place while it's being cut. To prevent any scuffs from being caused from the metal rubbing against the U-channel, I put some duct tape on the sides. There was a bit of an issue as the 2 clamps had rounded ends, which could cause the U-channel to move while it was being cut. To solve this, I used a few spare pieces of wood to lift it up and keep it tightly in place. Slowly lower the blade of the cutoff saw to cut through the U-channel. It's a very thin metal, so the saw will get through it with very little effort. The cutoff saw makes a very rough-ended cut. I fixed this by using a utility knife to slice off the majority of the rough edge. Do this carefully and make sure you're wearing work gloves. I then used a file to smooth it down completely. You should end up with a nice clean 45-degree cut in the U-channel. Now, let's talk about the length you need to cut your U-channel for it to fit nicely around your shelves. Now the U-channel has a thickness of about 1/8 of an inch. This means that you'll need to add 1/8 of an inch to the dimensions of the length and width of the shelf. This will give the necessary overlap for the edging at the corners so that they meet without leaving a gap. You can see in these examples that the edging needs to extend beyond the length of the shelf to make a good joint. Keep this in mind when measuring and cutting your U-channel to fit around your shelves.